Imagine New York City, in the late 1960s, a city undergoing a transformation with the construction of the World Trade Center. This ambitious project was not just about building the tallest skyscrapers, it was about pushing the boundaries of architectural and engineering innovation. The secret lay in the unique, tube-frame structural design, an ingenious concept that made the towers lightweight, yet incredibly strong. The World Trade Center was a marvel of modern architecture, a testament to the capabilities of lightweight steel. This material, although lighter than traditional building materials, displayed a formidable strength that allowed for the construction of such monumental structures. Architects and engineers worked in perfect harmony, incorporating groundbreaking techniques and materials to create these twin icons of the New York skyline. With the completion in 1973, the World Trade Center towers were the tallest buildings in the world, standing as a testament to human ingenuity and innovation. Scene script. Fast forward to a clear September morning in 2001, when an event would forever change the world. Picture this. Two commercial airliners, each carrying thousands of gallons of jet fuel, hurtle through the air at high speeds. Their targets? The North and South Towers of the World Trade Center. The physics involved in this catastrophic event is as shocking as the event itself. Let's first consider the speed and weight of the planes. A Boeing 767, the type of aircraft used in the attacks, can weigh up to 400,000 pounds when fully loaded. Imagine the sheer momentum of such a massive object moving at a speed of roughly 500 miles per hour. The kinetic energy, or the energy of motion, of these planes was enormous. Now, couple this kinetic energy with the potential energy stored in the jet fuel. A single gallon of jet fuel contains about 31 million calories, or the equivalent energy of 8 sticks of dynamite. Multiply that by the tens of thousands of gallons each plane carried, and you begin to understand the explosive force in play. When the planes hit the towers, this combined energy was released in a catastrophic explosion. The towers, designed to withstand the force of a hurricane, were not built to absorb such a concentrated explosive impact. The force of the planes hitting the towers was akin to a bullet hitting a block of wood, creating a shockwave that traveled down the structures, causing severe damage. Yet the towers did not immediately collapse. The thousands of tons of steel and concrete that made up each building absorbed much of the impact. The energy from the collision was dispersed through the structures, causing them to sway but not fall. The planes, however, had not only carried kinetic and potential energy, but also thermal energy. The jet fuel ignited upon impact, creating fires that burned at temperatures of up to 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. These fires further weakened the already damaged structures. Despite the severity of the impacts, the towers remained standing, at least for a short while. In the aftermath of the initial impacts, the real cause of the tower's collapse was just beginning to take effect. The fire, an often overlooked player in this tragic scenario, was starting to flex its deadly muscle, setting the stage for the final act of this catastrophic event. You see, the towers were not merely brought down by the impacts alone. Instead, it was the fire that followed which played a pivotal role in their demise. The inferno was fueled by the thousands of gallons of jet fuel carried by the planes, which was ignited upon impact. This fire was not an ordinary one. It was an incredibly high-temperature fire, the likes of which are seldom seen outside of controlled industrial environments. This was a fire that could melt metal, and unfortunately for the towers, they were primarily constructed from steel. Steel, as robust as it may seem, has a critical weakness. When subjected to high temperatures, it loses its strength. It's a bit like ice cream on a hot summer's day. At first, it's solid and can easily hold shape, but leave it out in the sun, and it will soon start to melt and collapse. Now picture the steel structure of the towers as that ice cream. The jet fuel-induced fire was the scorching sun. As the fire raged on, the steel started to weaken, much like the melting ice cream. And as the steel weakened, it could no longer support the weight of the floors above. This led to a chain reaction. As one floor collapsed, it added its weight to the floor below, causing that to collapse as well. This process repeated floor after floor in a rapid sequence of failures known as a progressive collapse. In less than 2 hours after the initial impacts, both towers had collapsed, leaving a pile of rubble and a cloud of dust where they once stood. In the aftermath of the tragedy, scientists and engineers began to investigate the precise causes of the tower's collapse. Their findings revealed a complex interplay of physics and structural design that led to the eventual downfall of the Twin Towers. One of the key elements in this tragic sequence was the tower's unique tube frame design. This design, which featured a perimeter of closely spaced columns and floors attached to the columns, allowed the towers to withstand the impact of the planes. However, it also meant that once these columns began to fail, the structure's integrity was severely compromised. The impact of the planes and the subsequent fires weakened the steel columns and caused the floors to sag. The sagging floors pulled inward on the perimeter columns, causing them to buckle. As these columns buckled, the upper floors, no longer supported, began to fall, triggering a devastating chain reaction. This is known as a progressive collapse, where the weight of the upper floors causes the floors below to collapse in a chain reaction. It's like a stack of pancakes. If you remove one from the middle, the stack can no longer support itself and comes crashing down. Through understanding the physics of the World Trade Center collapse, we can learn important lessons to make buildings safer in the future. The collapse of the World Trade Center was a tragedy that will never be forgotten. In its aftermath, we've learned valuable lessons. Buildings are not just structures that defy nature's forces, but they must also withstand the adverse impacts of man-made disasters. This realization has led to significant advancements in architectural design and construction techniques. While we can never undo the events of that day, we can ensure that the lessons learned are not forgotten, making our world a safer place.